All right, so welcome everyone. Today we are having a conversation about remote work best practices. Work at Home Vintage Experts, or WAHVE, has been a leader in this area because we've been virtual and working from home for the last 10 plus years. And in this crazy time of Corona and all of these states putting in orders to not leave our houses, a lot of new people are joining our workforce. And so we have members of our team on the line today, both internally as well as some of our remote contractors who work from their homes. Everyone has between 4 and 20 years of experience working remotely. And it's our hope that by sharing some of our experiences and lessons of things that we've learned, that we might be able to help someone else transition from the traditional workforce into a work at home environment. So with that being said, welcome everyone to the room, and we'll just kind of pass the baton and go around. And if you can introduce yourself, let us know where you are in the country, what kind of work you do, and how long you've been working from home. Anybody want to start?
Sure, I'll start.
Oh, go
so
ahead,
I'm
George.
Rick Morgan, and I live in the mountains in Colorado, in South Fork, Colorado, and I've been doing remote work pretty much all of my professional career, but exclusively for the last 13 years, I've worked from home.
I'm in Sacramento, California. I worked in an office. I worked in one office for 35 years. Liked going in and interacting with everybody. And when I so-called retired, started to work from home and didn't know if I would like it or not. And I really do enjoy it. I think the key is being able to talk to people during the day and keeping in communication either visually using Teams or Zoom or whatever technique, or and then just calling on the phone. That's really what makes it fun. What I'm doing now, I manage that part of our organization, which we call ourselves the relationship management team. Once everything is placed, then we talk to the clients, we talk to the WAHVES, and we make sure everybody's happy and doing well.
Thanks, Rita. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Melody. I live in Pennsylvania, and I have been working at home for WAHVE for the last 4.5 years. I work on the placement team, so we are the matchmakers.
Nice.
Patty, and I'm in the woods in Maine. My official title is VP of Customer Support, but mostly I do setups. I help remote workers get connected and stay connected, and help with support requests, and pretty much just manage the technology and make everything run smoothly. And I love working at home. It's been great. Been here for 6 years.
Awesome. How about one of our WAHVE contractors? Judy?
Hi, I'm Judy. I live in Northeast Ohio. I've been working for WAHVE. As of this week, it's been 7 years. I've been working from home. I do back office processing work for currently an agency in Texas. And I love it. Best career move ever.
Awesome. And Norma?
Me. Yes, I am an independent contractor for WAHVE, and I just absolutely love it. I was in management before, and this is just 100% better. I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about the little things like who did what to who and who's not at their desk when they're supposed to be. But I work for an agency, and I've been with WAHVE for 5 years. This fall will be 5 years for me. And I just I absolutely love it. I love it. And I know when I was a manager, my position consumed me. I mean, it defined me, you know, and I really didn't have a personal life. This is just the extreme opposite. I have a personal life, and it's leisurely, and I just love what I do.
Awesome to hear. Thank you guys. And my name is Chrissy. If you don't know, I'm in Las Vegas right now. And I've worked on both coasts, Las Vegas and New York. I've been with WAHVE for 6 years, and I handle administrative services. So I manage a team that supports all of the different divisions of the company. So we get a variety of work, and we're doing things in all different types of systems and softwares. And so I just love supporting all of you. And Rita had mentioned something interesting, that she was apprehensive at first. And I wonder if anyone else, when they decided that they were going to leave the traditional workforce and go 100% remote, were you scared? What were you scared of? And maybe how did you overcome those fears?
I definitely was. I'm kind of social, and I was really afraid of being isolated. So I was pleasantly surprised, and quite honestly, I tell everyone now there is no way I could ever go back into an office. I don't feel isolated at all. We have so much interaction. There are so many ways to communicate, and I feel that I know the remote people that I work with now better than people that I sat in the same office with for over 15 years.
One of my fears, when I started, one of my fears was technology. Because in the company, I had the IT folks, I could just run down to their desk if they didn't pick up the phone, and they would help me with whatever. And working from home, you don't have that. You can't run to anybody. And it was such a joy to know that Patty was accessible to us.
Hey, Patty.
Call me anytime.
Patty to the rescue. Give her a Superman t-shirt or something. So that was my biggest fear, but she took care of that right off the bat.
Yeah. I have a team too. I have other people who help me.
So what I hear for companies that are, for people that are going remote, it's important to have that kind of back end support.
Yes,
you can't just
absolutely.
send them off to home and hope that it all works out okay.
No.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of the home office, does anyone have any tips or tricks on how they set up their home office? Maybe starting with you, Patty, since you do the technology setups. Is there anything else that you recommend to people who are working from home and how they set up their office?
Well, I mean, other than the technical stuff, which is so boring, I'm not going to talk about it. If you want to catch me later on that, please do. Make sure you have enough space. Make sure that it's a private, quiet area, that you're not going to have distractions all day long. You know, hopefully you'll have some tools that you can use to stay in touch with other people, like Rita was mentioning, Zoom, Teams. I think that's really important. I don't mind being isolated, which is a good thing because I'm really in the woods. But I do love my connections to the people. You know, the people that I've worked with for 6 years, love them all. And, you know, that's probably the best part of the job, is the connections that I have here. And even outside, you know, the clients and certainly the WAHVES. The WAHVES have so much character and put so much fun into my day, you know. So make sure that you have enough space. Make sure that you have, you know, a good backbone of equipment, you know, a solid internet connection, a computer that didn't belong to Uncle Harry before you got it. You know, just make sure that your tools are up to date and dependable, and it'll make your trip so much easier.
Yeah, I think to underscore that, I think what I found is it really is important to have your own space, your own office. You have to take it seriously. Yeah. This isn't just, oh, a vacation, I'm at home and I can lounge around all day. You actually, for me, it was important to really have an office that I kind of got up and went to every day, and a good comfortable chair, a good desk. And as technology's evolved, I mean, we now all have multiple monitors and those kinds of things, but you really, it is your space. And I think a lot of people like to have flowers, you know, on the edge of their corner of their desk and things to just make it very much your personal space. That
Rick, could you send me some flowers? I'd like some of those.
Yeah. Me too.
Rick, I have to remember too that we're not relegated to just working in an office. We have the ability to take our laptop and work remotely in other places. And the people that are work as WAHVES, like Judy and Norma, you can take your laptop and go to somebody else's house or go somewhere else and work on your laptop somewhere else. We have people that do that, and that's the beauty of it.
Absolutely, I do that. It's to my advantage because I'm the only one in North Carolina. My family is spread out throughout the whole United States, but there's nobody here. So when I want to take a vacation, I'll take my laptop and I'll go visit, and I have family time and enjoy it, but I also work. And I just love that convenience.
Yeah, the flexibility is great.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can take your laptop camping. It's great to sit by the fire and.
I've done that.
I have
Well,
seen
I've
pictures
traveled
of Rita camping.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I traveled around the country for many years in an RV, and I had a space set up in the RV that was my office. And so I worked from virtually everywhere in the country.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's, you know, you have to have the discipline, and it's not for everybody,
Right.
but you can absolutely overcome all the issues of feeling isolated or alone or by yourself. And I think in today's world where everybody is, so many new people are having to work from home, I hear that that's a concern for a lot of people, that they're going to be somehow just so isolated. They miss that camaraderie of the office. But on the other hand, they don't have the commute, they don't have the office politics, and with things like Zoom and Teams and the Google suite of applications and stuff, there's so many ways to be connected.
And on that note, I think it's important that your client include you in their meetings, conference you in, because that helps with the isolation. Because you have to feel like you're part of the corporation, part of the company. Right. And if they include you, you feel that. If they exclude you, you do feel isolated. And I've been blessed enough to have the companies to do that for me. Any meetings that they have, they will let me know in advance, and they'll share their screen with me, and I feel good about it. So that's a big plus.
One thing too, I think that people should keep in mind when they're setting up their home offices is what's behind them.
Absolutely.
So when we're doing screen shares, like something like this, and whenever there's a video call, I know you see a lot of memes and stuff now where people are, in a business suit from the top up, and then they're in their pajama pants from the waist down, but also just being very aware. We've been in meetings with coworkers where they set up their office, and like right behind them is the kitchen, and like all of the bottles of wine that they've been that they have open, or they're moving, and there's packing boxes and stuff. So I think when you're setting up your home office, at least if you're having video conference calls, it's important to be aware of what's behind you when you have those meetings. Yeah,
I agree. But also to put personal things in that office. Personal things that are going to help you, that are going to motivate you. I like I said, I don't have family here, but my office, I have all my brother's artwork up. He's an artist, and I have his artwork on my walls. So at any point, I can take a break and look at one of the pictures, and it's a connection for me. It's home. So your space should have some personal touches to it.
Norma, you just said you mentioned taking a break. What do you guys, do you have regularly scheduled breaks, or what is your standard office day? What does your routine look like? I stop at the coffee maker on the way to the office, but what do you guys, what's important to have in your routine?
For me, it's getting up early enough. That's important to me. I can't get up rushed and hurry up and get to the computer and sign on because I'm working at 7 o'clock. I get up at 6. I get up at 6 and I get myself ready. Sometimes it's pajamas. It all depends on the weather. But yeah, I get myself ready. I make my lunch and my breakfast at 6 o'clock and have it ready, because I don't schedule I don't schedule my breaks, and so I'll just stop right around 11:30 or so and have my lunch. It's already made, so I'm not wasting time making it, So that's time that I could spend outside reading or doing whatever I want.
Right. What about you?
Great idea.
I like the flexibility. From day one, I just made the decision that I wasn't going to work in my pajamas, because I felt like if I got dressed and ready to go out the door, I felt like I just sort of had a more serious mindset about getting my day done. That's just me personally. Coffee is absolutely essential. Chrissy, I agree 100%. Days do not happen without coffee. But just get dressed, get ready to start your day and get in that frame of mind, I think. And I just, for me, that just helps. I typically don't take a whole lot of breaks during my day, but I work a short work day, 5-hour day. So it's not real necessary, and I love the flexibility of being able to work with the contract that you're working with as far as your hours, your times, your days. So far that's been wonderful. I mean, and it's so empowering to say, I'm going to take this day off instead of going to your boss and saying, can I have this day off?
Right.
So
Right.
that's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Judy, I'm like you. I have never worked in my pajamas. I get up and get ready like I was going to work, not a dress, obviously, but I do dress so that if somebody comes to the door, or if
Right.
back in the old days when we could go run errands after work, so that I was ready for that. But the other thing that I do is I actually put my lunch break on my calendar, and I get a 15-minute notice, because I find that you get so consumed in your work that you forget. And if I don't get that notice to go take a break and eat lunch, I forget to do it. So I kind of keep my day kind of regimented. And I like to take my lunch break later in the day, so that when I come back, I only have 3 hours to work, and then I know that I'm finished. So I do keep a schedule and start at the same time, and usually end a little bit later than I plan to every day, but I do schedule that lunch break.
I work from, I'm on the computer.
Go ahead.
By 6:30 in the morning. I'm West Coast, but I work with a lot of East Coast people, and I want to make myself available by at least 9:30 their time. And that allows me to reach a lot of people on the East Coast and thereabouts. East of the Mississippi anyway. And then as the day progresses, I can talk to the people on the West Coast, because I recognize the time of day it is, and when I can call people, and when they're at lunch and when they're not at lunch. As far as getting dressed, I usually start my pajamas, I have to admit, with a cup of coffee. And then mid-morning, I said, it's time to get dressed. 10 o'clock, 10:30, I take a shower, get dressed, have something to eat, and I don't eat again until I'm hungry, which is usually after I stop. My day will end early. It'll usually end around 2:30 my time, because it's 5 o'clock Eastern time, so I can't get a hold of anybody by that time, just the California people. So
Right.
that's my routine. That's usually works for me.
Yeah, I think when I first started, my routine is that I'd stumble into my office probably just with an old shirt on or something. And the problem is I'd start early in the morning and wouldn't stop until late at night, and sometimes never take a break. And that is really a bad thing to do. Yeah. And so now I've gotten into a routine where I get dressed in the morning, I go into my office, and I always take breaks. I make sure that I take just a get up and move, get out of the office kind of break, in kind of mid-morning. I make sure I start the morning with a breakfast and coffee for sure. And then a lunch break, and then usually an afternoon break. And I might work late into the evening, but if I do, it's breaking for dinner and not feeling like I've got to be at the computer 10 hours straight. And I recognized that in myself early on, that I could do that, and it was not a healthy thing to do. So anybody out there that's starting this, I think breaks are huge. You've got to learn when to say stop, because you can just work.
You can take a walk at lunchtime. It's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
It just kind of clears your mind and clears everything out.
Mm-hmm.
We do, I don't know if you're going to talk about this or not, but we make sure that Rick works out 3 times a week.
How do we do that, Patty?
Chrissy and Melody, and we have a whole group of us that we connect with on Teams. We do a video call and we share a workout 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. And,
Wow.
you could do that too. We could, almost anybody can do that. If you have contacts and you have time, all you need, you can go onto YouTube, and Chrissy likes to do dance routines on YouTube.
Hey, don't hate on Richard Simmons, man. We had a great workout, sweating to the oldies this week, and it was fun, and we got, everyone was sparkling and glistening when we were done, but it was
I'm sure
20 minutes of music and dance, and just gets you away from your desk. I think everybody has kind of said the same thing, that it's important to schedule those breaks because you can get stuck at your desk for so long. And just kind of going back to the computer setup, if you have the ability when you're setting up your office to have a desk that goes up and down so that you can stand while you work versus sitting while you work, that's, you know, sitting is the new smoking. So being able to stand while you work and while you're on a conference call, that's huge. And I'm going to try and share my screen for just a second and see if you guys can see this picture that has been going crazy on the internet with everybody working from home. If you can see it, it says, "Mom is in a meeting, do not enter." These might be the answers to your questions. Everybody is working right now from home, and a lot of people have kids at home or spouses at home. They're not used to working together in the same environment. And our CEO, Sharon Emick, was recently quoted in the Los Angeles Times talking about how important it is to set boundaries. So I would love to know what you guys, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. What are you guys doing to set boundaries around your home office to avoid interruptions?
Well, prior to coronavirus, I had no issues other than my dog, but my husband is now working from home, and unfortunately we both have to be plugged into the router, and we haven't gotten that 50-foot cord yet. So he literally works in the same office that I do. So that has been a bit of a challenge. And our son is home from college, and he's a student teacher. So he's been doing some online teaching and doing job fairs and online meetings. So there are 3 of us trying to work from home right now. So we have had to kind of make a little schedule. Every day I ask him, "When do you have meetings today?" He asks me when I have meetings, and because we both use Teams, so we're using, you know, today we actually had one overlap, which was kind of interesting. He stuck his headphones in real quick, and I went on mute when I didn't have to talk. So it's been a little bit of an adjustment. Having people in the home. Usually this is kind of my domain during the workday, and I'm getting used to it. It's been 2.5 weeks now, I guess, that we've been doing this, and we're adjusting, but you do have to set boundaries. I told him we're doing this call today, that he needs to be out of the office during this time. So he's out having a run right now or doing something. So he kind of worked his schedule around mine so that we could do that.
Awesome.
I
Anyone
don't
else?
have any issues.
Yeah.
Just me and my husband, and he'll bring me coffee when I want it. He'll come around. Sometimes he peeks around the door. "Do you need coffee?" And he'll bring me coffee. But we don't have any kids at home or any other interruptions, so it works out fine. There's no issues.
What about you, Chrissy? You do have a family, so how's that all working out?
I do. I have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old who are now homeschooling. But I've been working at home for 6 years now. So my family has been trained for a while that if the door is shut, it stays shut to my office. It's important to have a workspace that you can be secluded from the rest of the house and what's going on. And every time, even if my door is open, they stop in the doorway and make eye contact with me before anything, you know. Is it like, "Are you on a call? Are you on a conference call?" Like, they're making that eye contact to make sure it's safe to enter the room and ask a question. I can't say that with everyone home that I'm 100% focused on work 100% of the time, because those issues are coming up. Somebody needs, you know, help logging onto a website, or someone needs help unloading the car with groceries because they just scored some toilet paper. But it's nice that they respect the fact that I'm not, or, you know, that I actually am working. I'm not just, you know, sitting in the office playing on the computer. So it's important that the people in your household really understand and respect the fact that you have a job to do. Just because you do it at home doesn't make it any less of a job.
I agree.
Yeah.
Speaking of like the working from home and being on your laptop, does anyone have extensions of stuff that they do on their laptop, like on a cell phone? Do you have any particular cell phone apps that you like that help you out? Because I find even when I'm not at my computer, I will use my cell phone to scan something, or, you know, use email. Maybe Patty, you might be the best one to start this off focusing on technology, are there any particular apps that you find helpful?
I love Teams. I use Teams. I have, of course, email on my phone. I can pretty much take this phone and work from anywhere. And I mean, not comfortably, of course, but I'm never out of touch, which is the great thing about it. We have that program called Sense, which sends texts, you know, so when I need to get a hold of one of the WAHVES really quickly, I can send a text to them and they're like, yes, I'm free now. And I have that on my phone. And what else? Those are mostly the ones I use. And of course, you know, if you need to get a document somewhere quick, you take a picture of it and it's a JPEG and you can shoot it off easy. And like you said, they do have scanner programs too.
I depend a lot on I get a lot of emails and I look at the emails on my phone, and I can reply to them on my phone as well. Phone messages also get translated into an email, so I can see those as well. If they don't send an email, I can see the voice message translation, and I can call them as well. I've got Teams on my phone, and I've got other programs as well, but mainly it's Teams and the emails and the phone.
Yeah, you can even go to meetings on the phone. You know, we could have joined this meeting.
Yeah, if we're remote, we can join a meeting through Teams on the phone, so that's convenient.
What about Norma and Judy? What kind of things do you use?
I usually just use my email on my phone for right now. I'm not probably as involved as the rest of you are in different levels. But yeah, definitely the emails are nice. And with having a wireless connection, if there's something that I get an email, if I need to print it or whatever, which doesn't happen real often, but I do have that capability. So that's nice to be able to do that and not have to log on to a computer, so I can multitask. So
I'm with you, Judy, on that. My involvement is not the same as the others. So I really don't use the phone that much for business. It's more for personal, like FaceTime with my grandson and things like that. But for work, no, I really don't.
Yeah, I find, Chrissy, I think you mentioned it, but one of the things that in terms of a business app is Scanner Pro, because I scan all kinds of stuff, and it's better. It does a better job than just taking a picture, and then I can send it. I can send it to a fax machine if I need to, but I can turn it into a PDF or a JPEG and then send it out however I want to send it out. So I do use that, and of course, like Patty and the rest of you that have mentioned, I've got Teams on my phone. I've got Zoom on my phone. So in terms of staying connected, my phone is absolutely, and my watch. So it's connected with my Apple Watch. So when I go for a hike or a long walk or something like that, many times I don't take my phone. And so I just have my watch, and I answer calls, and can be walking along talking to a client or somebody else, you know, just wherever I am, just on my watch. Crazy
Awesome.
Technology.
Well, and you can take your laptop with you. I know I can totally see Rick in the woods, like talking to his wrist. But I've used my cell phone too as a hotspot. I don't know if anyone realizes that you can use the cell phone. You can just turn your hotspot on, and you can take your laptop with you anywhere, even if there is no internet. So sometimes I've gone, if it's a part of your plan. So it's part of your plan.
You need to be mindful of that. Absolutely.
Yes, definitely be mindful of data and stuff like that. But it's safer to take your laptop and use your cell phone as a hotspot than it is sometimes to jump on an unsecure network and use unsecure
jump on an
internet.
Unsecure network. Never.
Very good tip. Very good tip.
One of the things go ahead, Chrissy.
Oh, no, go ahead, Rick. I was just going to.
One of the things I was going to ask is the perception of, like, Judy and Norma in particular, and then maybe Rita and Melody, who are managing teams, but how do the other people in the office feel about you working remotely? And when you first started, did your manager, the owner of the company you're working for, whatever, were they comfortable with the thought that you would be productive? In other words, I think there's a perception many times that those of us that work remotely aren't going to be as productive as the in-office people. What's your experience, I guess, is my question.
I never ran into that problem with any of my assignments, not once.
And do you, what about your productivity? In your opinion, are you as productive as you were when you worked in the office?
More productive.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I'm way
I'm
more.
much more productive because you don't have people coming up to your desk with silly stuff that really shouldn't come to you, and just interruptions that really should go to somebody else, but they come to you, and you don't have to worry about who's wearing what or who did what to who. I just get much more work done at home without the interruption.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And if I want to listen to the radio and jam while I work, there's no one arguing about what radio station. There's no one arguing about the thermostat setting. There's no one arguing about we don't have a screamer or the, just none of that little unknown stuff that you don't.
Right. You don't have to worry about the politics.
No, just focus on.
And I hear that a lot.
Done.
I hear that a lot from the WAHVEs, that I don't have to deal with the inter-office politics anymore. And that's a big relief to a lot of people.
Right.
And they can just focus on the work that needs to get done.
Yeah, exactly.
And
now,
there are a few
customers. There are a few customers from when I worked in a brick and mortar agency that were, close with, but I find that I run into them out socially now. So I still get to interact with them. I just don't have to deal with all the other stuff. So
absolutely.
Win-win.
It is a win-win.
Yeah. For those of you who manage a remote team, so Patty, Rita, looking at you guys, for those of you who manage a remote team, I've seen a lot of news articles about what companies are doing to make sure that their staff are actually productive and working from home. Some things as extreme as taking automatic screenshots of their computer every 10 minutes, or making them open a Zoom meeting and leave it open for the entire workday so that they can visually see their team. How do you guys manage your staff to make sure that they're being productive and getting the work done without being able to look over their shoulder?
Well, for me, there are certain things that are time sensitive, and there is an activity that is set up for each of the assignments. I can go in and see where they are with it. And it's just a matter of helping them stay current, helping them just seeing where they are in the process. And if they need some help, offering the help, helping them to organize and to manage what they have, recognizing when perhaps they have too much, and kind of get other team members involved in assisting. But it's not difficult to see what's going on. You can just look at the notes, look at our systems are set up in such a way that there's very good documentation that's possible. So I do go in and look and just make sure that everybody is doing okay, and they connect with me too if they're running into issues. If there are issues on anything, then we get together and we talk about every one of them. So we stay in touch by phone, by Teams, and just as a team as well. So it's not an issue.
I talk to my guys all the time. All day long, because there's always something that's coming up, and we're asking each other questions. And we have the support ticketing area, so I know what's getting resolved and what's not getting resolved. And also, if I'm just wondering, especially like in the WAHVE situation, the management systems have great reports. You can run an activity report, and you'll know if the work is consistent day to day. You'll know, and that's. I mean, I can't see that you'd need anything more than that. Taking screenshots of my guys would be a frightening thing, I think. I wouldn't want to do that.
I think it's important to have trust, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. If you're questioning that your staff isn't getting the work done and you expect the results and you're not seeing it, maybe that's a question for, do you have the right people on your team in the right places? Does anyone else want to add anything to that?
For me,
that's a really good point, Chrissy. Trust is critical, and communication. We've mentioned that a couple of times. I think keeping the lines of communication open. But I think, in a lot of industries, not just in our industry, the one we've messed with most of the time in insurance, but I think the issue is that it is is management, traditional management thinks they have to see people to be able to know whether they're working. And what I think more progressive people are finding is that it's really managing by results, not just
Right.
whether
Right.
somebody's around.
Right. Yeah.
To a large degree, it doesn't really matter when they, you know, some things have to be done, as Rita mentioned, that are time sensitive and have to be done at a particular time. But working from home creates a whole different opportunity to create a lot of flexibility and freedom for people to work early, to work late, and get the work done, and yet still have that life-work balance that allows them to, you know, connect with a family member or do, you know, maybe you have to do some caregiving, meet with a grandkid, those kinds of things that I think make us all happier and more productive.
Exactly.
Very collaborative. My team and I were very collaborative as far as tackling issues, trying to figure out, strategize where there's problems that need to be solved or resolved. And it's, again, I want them to come up with answers to what the issues are. Tell me what you would do. Let's see if we can put something in action. So it's a very collaborative exercise, and they all enjoy it and I enjoy it. I think it works out really well, and we do get very good results.
I want to say for me, whenever I start an assignment, I initiate that trust and I contact my client and let them know where I am. They're not asking for it, but I'm letting them know, giving them status frequently until we get to a comfortable point where it's not necessary. So by then I've established the trust and they're comfortable with me. I think that's very important. That open communication often is very important.
Yeah,
That's a great point.
A good morning email, because if I was walking through the office, I would say good morning to people as I walk through the office. So I kind of have that mindset of, you know, let's say good morning. I'm online. I'm ready. You know, whatever. I mean, they can see that I'm online via Skype, but I just feel like it's just another way to connect.
Yes, I agree.
Great ideas. Outside of the workplace, is anyone using any special technology, or is there anything that you're using to connect with family and friends the way that you would with team members?
We had a Zoom birthday party for my grandson on Saturday because physically we're not allowed to be together right now. So we had a Zoom birthday party, and it was kind of neat because there were people that could attend that would not have been able to attend if he had a physical party because they're spread throughout the country. So we got to spend about an hour, watched him open his gifts and blow out his candles. We sang to him. So, and I've been FaceTiming with my granddaughters. So we've been using those, even though they live nearby. We can't see them right now physically. So we've been using that technology just to keep in touch with family.
Texting.
Oh yeah, FaceTime.
Texting and FaceTime,
yeah.
Awesome. So as we wrap up this conversation, is there one piece of advice that you guys would give to someone who is what's the one piece of advice that you would give someone who's working from home for the first time? They're transitioning out of the regular traditional workforce into a work at home job, whether it be just for a period of time or whether it be permanently. What's the one thing you would have them know? Rick, do you want to start?
Sure. I think communication is key for people to really make sure that they stay connected, not only with their work people, but their family and friends, particularly in this time when that's a difficult thing to do. And Melody, your example was perfect. And then I think the other thing I would say is just, which again, maybe it's just because that was something that was important for me, is to learn how to stop, to not just sit at your computer all day.
I agree.
Melody, how about you?
I would say, kind of bouncing off of what Rick said, protect your time and make sure that your family members respect your work boundaries, and just communicate within your family. My cell phone stays in another part of the house. And I know a lot of people will say, what? But I do have an Apple Watch now, so I can see if a call's coming through, but it doesn't ring and bother me if I'm on a call. So I know if my mother's assisted living facility calls me or something important, but my kids know not to call me during the workday. I work, you know, even though I'm at home, I still work full time. So I think we just have to respect those boundaries and protect our time.
Norma, how about you?
I just want to add to what Rick said about communication, because you establish that communication with your client, but you also want to establish that with your relationship manager, because they will contact you initially, you know, quite frequently, but after that phase, they will not. And you shouldn't wait until something gets out of hand before you reach out to them. You talk to them frequently, so you're all on the same page going forward, and they're not blindsided.
Rita?
I think that I like conversing. I like talking on the phone. Emails are fine, texting is fine, but I really like that voice communication. And I try to reach people and talk to them on the phone, because tone of voice and attitude and their mood for that day gives you a lot of information that you don't get when it's just in an email. I enjoy that give and take by phone. So if you can keep in verbal communication, I think that's really important.
Patty?
I would just say, you know, building on what you guys have already said about communication and staying in touch, ask for help. If you're in a bad spot, if you're having a problem, you know, don't let it piggyback and get worse and worse and worse. Reach out, pick up the phone and ask somebody that you think, you know who to ask for help, I guess, too. You know, if you're a WAHVE and you need to talk about a situation at the office, you know, call the relationship manager, like you were saying. If you have a technical issue, please, please, please reach out to us, because we don't want you to be sitting there worrying and you know, oh, I'm not getting anything done. I don't know how to handle this. And just call us, you know, just call us, or support@wahve.com is your lifeline, really. So don't be afraid you're not bothering anybody. Okay. That's what we're here for, and we want to help. So.
Awesome. Judy?
I would say, I have several actually. Be flexible, be open to new ways of doing things that you maybe hadn't done before. And it's okay. You know, everybody's trying new things these days. A sense of humor is essential, because when things don't go as planned, just try to laugh it off and move on. I think that also don't freak out when it's technical and it's a little over your head. Be nice to your IT people. They're your lifeline. Invest in a very comfortable chair and be mindful of time zone differences.
Oh yeah, good point.
Great points, great points. Yeah, and the only thing I would add or supplement would be to embrace technology. There's so many new ideas out there, new ways to connect with each other. Some of us may not have we may not have known what Zoom was 6 months ago or 3 months ago. So look at the technology that's out there to assist you. There's nothing you can't really find on YouTube University. So don't be afraid to Google, ask friends, communicate, you know, find out what other companies' best practices are. And just to kind of wrap up our time together, that's exactly what we're doing, is we're communicating, we're having a conversation and sharing some best practices today. So thank you everyone for joining us. And if anyone who's viewing this conversation, if you have any tips or tricks or techniques that you want to share, you can add that to the comments of this video. And if you have questions where we can be of help, either with technical assistance or just kind of pointing you in the right direction, we're happy to do that. If we get enough of those questions, we may even put together another video conversation where we can brainstorm and help you out. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Very good.
Thanks, everybody.